1. A melody in the night. The night air in the city was alive with the hum of activity, a symphony of sounds blending into a cacophony of life. Street vendors called out to passers-by, laughter and conversation floated through the air, and the distant hum of cars provided a constant backdrop. But amidst this orchestra of urban life, a single, sweet melody rose above it all, drawing people in like a siren's call. Elena stood at her usual spot on the corner of Rue de Rivoli, her violin resting gently on her shoulder. She closed her eyes, allowing the music to flow through her fingers dancing effortlessly across the strings. The notes she played seemed to shimmer in the night air, a hauntingly beautiful tune that captivated everyone who heard it. Her talent was undeniable, her passion evident in every note she played. People stopped in their tracks, mesmerized by the young street musician who played with the skill and emotion of a seasoned professional. Coins and bills began to fill her open violin case, but it was not the money that drove Elena. It was the music, the pure joy of creating something beautiful that connected her to the world around her. In the crowd that had gathered, a young man stood apart, his eyes fixed on Elena. Adrian watched her intently, captivated not only by her music but by the way she seemed to pour her soul into every note. He had seen her before, performing on different corners of the city, always drawing a crowd, always lost in her own world. Tonight, however, something was different. Tonight, he felt an inexplicable pull towards her, a connection he could not ignore. Adrian was no stranger to music himself. He had been trained from a young age, his family's wealth affording him the best tutors and instruments. But despite his privileged background, he had always felt something was missing. The structured lessons and rigid performances lacked the passion and freedom he saw in Elena. Her music was raw, unfiltered, and it spoke to him in a way that nothing else ever had. As Elena's song came to an end, the crowd erupted into applause, breaking the spell that had held them. She opened her eyes, a shy smile spreading across her face as she nodded her thanks. Adrian, however, remained rooted to the spot, his mind racing. He wanted to speak to her, to know her story, to understand the source of the emotion that poured from her violin. But how could he, a stranger from a world so different from hers, approach her without seeming out of place? The crowd began to disperse, and Elena started to pack up her violin. Adrian saw his opportunity slipping away and took a deep breath. Gathering his courage, he stepped forward, weaving his way through the thinning crowd until he stood before her. "That was beautiful," he said, his voice soft but clear. Elena looked up, her eyes meeting his. There was a moment of silence as they regarded each other, the noise of the city fading into the background. "Thank you," she replied, her voice as melodic as her music. "I'm glad you enjoyed it." "I did," Adrian said, smiling. "I've heard you play before, but tonight was different. There was something special about it." Elena blushed slightly, a hint of color rising in her cheeks. "Music is always special to me," she said. "It's my way of sharing my soul with the world." Adrian nodded, understanding more than she realized. "I'm Adrian," he said, extending his hand. "I would love to hear more about your music, if you don't mind." For a moment, Elena hesitated. She had always kept her distance from the people who listened to her play, afraid that they would not understand her world. But something in Adrian's eyes told her that he was different. There was a sincerity, a genuine curiosity that made her want to share her story. "I'm Elena," she said, shaking his hand. "And I don't mind at all." As they walked through the city, talking about music, life, and their dreams, Elena felt a connection forming between them. It was as if their souls had recognized each other, drawn together by a shared love of music and a desire to find something more in life. That night, under the starlit sky, a melody had brought them together. And though they did not yet know it, that melody would change their lives forever. 2. Forbidden harmony. The days that followed their first meeting were a blur of excitement and discovery. Elena and Adrian found themselves drawn to each other, their connection deepening with every conversation, every shared melody. They met often, sometimes at the same street corner where Elena played, other times at quiet cafes where they would talk for hours about their lives, their dreams, and their love for music. Elena learned that Adrian came from a wealthy family, his upbringing worlds apart from her own. His parents were patrons of the arts, but their support came with strict expectations. Adrian was expected to follow in their footsteps, to uphold the family's reputation and to marry someone from their social circle. Music, for him, was supposed to be a polished skill, a performance for high society, not a passion shared on street corners. Despite this, Adrian was captivated by Elena's raw talent and unfiltered passion. Her music was not constrained by rules or expectations. It was free, and it spoke to him in ways his structured life never could. He admired her courage, her determination to live her life on her own terms, even if it meant struggling to make ends meet. For Elena, Adrian represented a world she had always been curious about but never felt a part of. His stories of grand parties and elegant soirees were like tales from a different era. Yet, she saw in him a kindred spirit, someone who, despite his upbringing, longed for the same freedom and authenticity she cherished. Their differences, rather than dividing them, brought them closer together. One evening, as they walked along the Seine, Adrian hesitated before speaking. "Elena, there's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "My family, they have certain expectations of me. They wouldn't understand our relationship." Elena stopped, turning to face him. "What do you mean?" Adrian took a deep breath. "They want me to marry someone from our social circle, to continue the family tradition. If they knew about us, they would try to put a stop to it." A pang of sadness hit Elena. She had suspected there would be challenges, but hearing it confirmed was a bitter pill to swallow. "So, what are we going to do?" she asked quietly. Adrian reached for her hand, his grip firm and reassuring. "I don't want to lose you, Elena. We'll figure it out together. I just wanted you to know what we're up against." Elena nodded, her resolve strengthening. "Then we'll make our own path. We won't let anyone else define our story." Their resolve was tested sooner than they expected. Adrian's family hosted a grand gala, a gathering of the city's elite, and he was expected to attend. He invited Elena, but she hesitated. Attending the gala meant stepping into a world where she felt out of place, a world that might judge her and their relationship harshly. But Adrian was insistent. "I want you there, Elena. I want you to see my world and for them to see you. Maybe it will help them understand." With a mix of excitement and apprehension, Elena agreed. She wore a simple but elegant dress, and as she entered the grand ballroom with Adrian by her side, she felt every eye turn towards them. The room was filled with the city's most influential people, all dressed in their finest, the air thick with the scent of expensive perfumes and the sound of polite conversation. Adrian's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Dufresne, were the epitome of elegance and sophistication. When they saw Elena, their smiles faltered for a moment, but they quickly recovered, greeting her with practiced politeness. It was clear to Elena that they were taken aback by her presence, and she could feel the weight of their scrutiny. As the evening progressed, Adrian stayed close to her, introducing her to his parents' friends and colleagues. Some were polite, others dismissive, but Elena held her ground, determined not to let their judgments affect her. She could see the pride in Adrian's eyes, and that gave her the strength to endure the whispers and sideways glances. Later in the evening, a small string ensemble began to play, and the guests moved to the dance floor. Adrian led Elena to the center, taking her hand as the music swirled around them. They danced gracefully, their movements in perfect harmony, their connection evident to anyone who cared to look. As they danced, Adrian whispered in her ear, "You belong here, Elena. Don't ever doubt that." But the evening took a turn when Mrs. Dufresne approached them. "Adrian, may I have a word with you?" she asked, her tone leaving no room for refusal. Adrian nodded, his expression serious. He turned to Elena, his eyes apologetic. "I'll be right back." Elena watched as Adrian and his mother stepped aside, their conversation inaudible over the music and chatter. She felt a pang of anxiety, knowing that this moment could define their future. When Adrian returned, his face was a mask of determination. "Let's go," he said, taking Elena's hand. They left the gala, the tension palpable. Once outside, Adrian turned to her. "My mother made it clear that she doesn't approve, but I don't care. I won't let them dictate my life. I choose you, Elena." Tears welled in Elena's eyes, a mix of relief and love. "I choose you too, Adrian." As they walked away from the grand estate, hand in hand, they knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. But together, they believed they could face anything. Their love was a forbidden harmony, a melody that defied the odds, and they were determined to let it play. 3. Whispers in the moonlight. The days turned into weeks, and despite the challenges they faced, Elena and Adrian's bond grew stronger. They continued to meet in secret, their moments together becoming more precious with each passing day. The city, with its labyrinthine streets and hidden corners, became their sanctuary, a place where they could be themselves without fear of judgment. One evening, under the soft glow of the full moon, Elena and Adrian found themselves in a secluded garden, a hidden gem in the heart of the city. The garden was a tranquil oasis, filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the gentle rustle of leaves. It was here that they felt the most at peace, away from the prying eyes of the world. As they strolled hand in hand, the moonlight casting a silvery sheen over everything, Adrian stopped and turned to Elena. "There's something I've been wanting to tell you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Elena looked up at him, her heart beating faster. "What is it?" Adrian took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "I've been thinking about our future. I know it's not going to be easy, and there will be many obstacles. But I want you to know that I'm committed to us, no matter what." Elena felt a rush of emotions. She had always known that their love would be a battle against the odds, but hearing Adrian's unwavering commitment gave her hope. "I feel the same way, Adrian. I don't care about the challenges. As long as we're together, we can overcome anything." Adrian smiled, his eyes filled with love and determination. "Then let's make a promise to each other, here and now. No matter what happens, we'll always fight for our love." Under the moonlight, they sealed their promise with a kiss, their hearts intertwined in a silent vow. It was a moment of pure connection, a whisper of love carried on the night breeze. Their secret meetings continued, each one more magical than the last. They shared their dreams, their fears, and their hopes for the future. Elena would often bring her violin, and under the cover of night, she played for Adrian, her music a serenade to their love. Adrian, in turn, would recite poetry he had written, his words a testament to the depth of his feelings. One night, as they sat on a bench overlooking the Seine, Adrian took out a small notebook. "I wrote something for you," he said, handing it to Elena. Elena opened the notebook, her eyes scanning the page. It was a poem, beautifully written, each word a reflection of Adrian's love for her. She felt tears welling up as she read, the emotions overwhelming her. "You have a gift, Adrian," she said softly. "Your words are so powerful, so full of emotion." Adrian smiled, his eyes locking with hers. "Your music inspires me, Elena. It's like our souls are in perfect harmony, creating something beautiful together." Their relationship, though filled with love and passion, was not without its difficulties. They had to be careful, always looking over their shoulders, aware that Adrian's family could discover their secret at any moment. But their love gave them the strength to persevere, to cherish the moments they had and to dream of a future where they could be together without fear. As the months passed, Adrian's parents grew increasingly suspicious. His frequent absences and mysterious demeanor did not go unnoticed. One evening, after a particularly tense dinner, Adrian's father confronted him. "Adrian, we need to talk," Mr. Dufresne said, his tone brooking no argument. Adrian nodded, his heart sinking. He knew this moment was inevitable. "I know you've been seeing that girl, Elena," his father began, his expression stern. "This has to stop. She is not suitable for our family, and you have responsibilities you cannot ignore." Adrian felt a surge of anger and frustration. "Father, I love her. I can't just walk away." Mr. Dufresne's expression softened slightly, but his resolve remained firm. "Love is a luxury we cannot always afford, Adrian. Think of your future, of the family's reputation." Adrian stood his ground. "I have thought about my future, and it's with Elena. I can't live a life dictated by social expectations. I need to follow my heart." His father's eyes narrowed. "If you continue down this path, there will be consequences. Think carefully about what you're willing to sacrifice." The conversation weighed heavily on Adrian's mind as he met Elena later that night. He shared his father's ultimatum, and they discussed their options, knowing that their time together was running out. "We can't keep living in fear," Elena said, her voice trembling with emotion. "We need to find a way to be together without hiding." Adrian nodded, his determination renewed. "Then we will. We'll find a way to make this work, no matter what." Their love was a whisper in the moonlight, a promise carried on the night breeze. And as they held each other under the stars, they knew that their bond was stronger than any obstacle they might face. Together, they would fight for their love, no matter the cost. 4. Crescendo of conflict. The whispering winds of Paris carried a sense of foreboding as autumn set in, casting a golden hue over the city. Elena and Adrian's secret love affair was becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. Their once tranquil meetings were now tinged with anxiety, each stolen moment a risk. One evening, as the leaves rustled gently in the cool breeze, Elena arrived at their usual meeting spot, a secluded park near the river. She found Adrian pacing, his expression troubled. "Adrian, what's wrong?" Elena asked, concern etched on her face. He stopped and looked at her, his eyes filled with a mix of frustration and determination. "My father gave me an ultimatum. He says I must end things with you or face severe consequences. They're threatening to cut me off entirely." Elena's heart sank. She had always known this moment might come, but hearing it out loud made the reality all the more painful. "What are we going to do?" Adrian took her hands in his grip firm and reassuring. "We have to be strong, Elena. We can't let them dictate our lives. I've been thinking, maybe it's time we leave Paris. Start fresh somewhere new, where we can be together without fear." The thought of leaving everything she knew behind was daunting, but the idea of being free with Adrian was equally appealing. "Where would we go?" "Anywhere. As long as we're together," Adrian said, his voice filled with conviction. They began to make plans, discussing their options and the challenges they would face. The idea of escaping to a small town or perhaps another country became more tangible with each conversation. They dreamed of a life where their love could flourish without the constraints of societal expectations. However, their plans were soon disrupted. One evening, as Adrian returned home from one of their meetings, he found his parents waiting for him in the drawing room, their expressions grave. "Adrian, sit down," his father commanded, his tone leaving no room for argument. Reluctantly, Adrian complied. His mother looked at him with a mix of concern and disappointment. We received a letter today. It seems your relationship with that girl has not gone unnoticed. People are talking, Adrian. This cannot continue. Adrian's heart raced. What do you mean? His father handed him the letter, its contents confirming their worst fears. Someone had seen them together and had informed his parents, exposing their secret. The scandal was beginning to spread among their social circle. You have a choice to make, Adrian, his father said, his voice stern. End this relationship now and focus on your future, or face the consequences of your actions. Adrian felt trapped. The walls of his family's expectations were closing in on him, suffocating his spirit. I can't end things with Elena. I love her. His mother sighed, her eyes filled with sorrow. Then you leave us no choice. If you continue down this path, you will be disowned. We will not support you, financially or otherwise. The weight of their words hung heavy in the air. Adrian knew that his parents were serious, that their threats were not empty. But he also knew that he could not give up on Elena. I understand, he said quietly. But I won't abandon her. I'll find a way to make it work. With that, he left the room, the finality of his decision sinking in. He knew that his life was about to change irrevocably, but he was determined to face whatever came next with Elena by his side. When he told Elena about the confrontation with his parents, she was both scared and resolute. We'll make it work, Adrian. We'll find a way. Their resolve was put to the test sooner than they expected. The very next day, Adrian received word that his bank accounts had been frozen, his access to family resources cut off. He was effectively on his own. Despite the setback, they pressed on with their plans. They gathered what little money they had, packed their belongings, and prepared to leave Paris. The night before their departure, they met one last time at their favorite spot by the Seine. As they sat together, the city lights reflecting in the water, Elena took out her violin and played a hauntingly beautiful melody. The music was a reflection of their journey, filled with both sorrow and hope. Adrian listened, his heart swelling with love and determination. When she finished, he pulled her close. No matter what happens, we'll face it together. I promise. Their departure was bittersweet. Leaving Paris meant leaving behind not just the city they loved, but also the life they had known. Yet, as the train carried them away from the familiar and into the unknown, they felt a sense of liberation. For the first time, they were free to build their own future, unburdened by the expectations of others. The road ahead was uncertain, but as long as they had each other, they believed they could overcome any obstacle. Their love, tested by conflict and forged in adversity, was stronger than ever. And as they looked out at the passing countryside, they knew that their journey was just beginning. 5. Symphony of Hope. The countryside whisked past the train windows, a blur of greens and golds under the clear sky. Elena and Adrian sat side by side, their hands entwined, hearts filled with a mixture of trepidation and anticipation. They had left the familiar behind, embarking on a journey toward a new beginning. Their destination was a small, picturesque town nestled in the heart of Provence. It was a place where they hoped to find solace and a fresh start, far from the prying eyes and harsh judgments of Parisian society. The town, with its lavender fields and sun-drenched streets, seemed like a haven, a place where their love could flourish freely. Upon their arrival, they rented a modest cottage on the outskirts of town. It was a quaint, charming home with ivy climbing its stone walls and a garden bursting with flowers. It was here that they began to build their new life together, filled with dreams and hope. Adrian found work as a tutor, teaching music to the children of the town. His passion and talent quickly endeared him to the community, and he found joy in sharing his love for music with others. Elena, with her violin and her gift for storytelling through music, became a beloved figure in the town square, where she played for the locals every market day. Their days were filled with hard work and simple pleasures. They explored the countryside, picking wildflowers, and picnicking by the river. They spent evenings under the stars, talking about their dreams and the future they were building together. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, rooted in the freedom they had fought so hard to attain. However, life was not without its challenges. Money was tight, and there were times when they struggled to make ends meet. But they faced each hardship with unwavering determination and the belief that their love could overcome any obstacle. They found strength in each other, drawing comfort and courage from their shared dreams. One day, as they sat in their garden, Elena looked up from her violin. "Adrian, I've been thinking, what if we open a music school? We could teach together, share our love of music with the community." Adrian's eyes lit up at the idea. "That's a wonderful idea, Elena. We could create a place where anyone can come to learn and appreciate music, regardless of their background." Excited by the prospect, they began to lay the groundwork for their school. They used their savings to rent a small building in the town center and spent countless hours renovating it. The townspeople, who had come to love and respect them, pitched in to help, providing materials and labor. When the school finally opened, it was a modest affair, but it quickly became a vibrant hub of activity. Children and adults alike flocked to learn from Adrian and Elena, whose passion and dedication inspired everyone around them. The school thrived, becoming a beacon of hope and creativity in the community. Their success did not go unnoticed. News of the school reached Paris, and soon, people from all over began to take an interest. Among them was a prominent music critic who had heard of Adrian and Elena's story and was eager to see their work firsthand. One sunny afternoon, the critic arrived in town and attended one of their classes. He watched as Adrian guided his students through a complex piece, his patience and skill evident in every note. Elena, meanwhile, played alongside the children, her music weaving a tapestry of harmony and joy. After the class, the critic approached them, his eyes filled with genuine admiration. "You have created something truly special here," he said. "Your dedication and passion are evident in everything you do. I would like to write about your school, to share your story with the world." Elena and Adrian exchanged hopeful glances. This was an opportunity they had not anticipated, a chance to reach even more people with their music and their message of love and perseverance. The critic's article, published in a renowned music journal, was a glowing review of their work and their journey. It highlighted their struggles, their triumphs, and the unique bond they shared. The article brought them a wave of new students and supporters, as well as invitations to perform in various prestigious venues. Their newfound success allowed them to expand their school, adding more teachers and classes. They used their influence to support local artists and musicians, fostering a vibrant cultural scene in their town. Their love story, once a forbidden melody, had become a symphony of hope, inspiring countless others to follow their dreams. As the years passed, Adrian and Elena continued to teach and perform, their music a testament to their enduring love and unwavering spirit. They had built a life filled with purpose and joy, overcoming every obstacle with grace and determination. On their 10th anniversary in Provence, they hosted a grand concert in the town square, a celebration of their journey and their love. As they played together, their music filled the air, a beautiful symphony of hope that echoed through the hearts of everyone present. Under the starlit sky, surrounded by friends and students, Adrian and Elena knew that they had created something lasting and beautiful. Their love had not only survived but had flourished, becoming a beacon of hope and inspiration for all who heard their story. And as the final notes of their performance lingered in the night air, they knew that their symphony of hope would continue to resonate, a timeless testament to the power of love and the strength of the human spirit. 6. A harmonious future. The echoes of their anniversary concert lingered in the air, a beautiful reminder of the journey Adrian and Elena had undertaken. Their lives had become a testament to love, resilience, and the power of dreams. The music school flourished, and their influence spread beyond the quaint town in Provence, touching the hearts of people far and wide. As the years went by, Adrian and Elena continued to pour their hearts into their work. They expanded their school, adding new classes, hiring more teachers, and reaching out to underprivileged children who might not have otherwise had the opportunity to learn music. Their school became a beacon of hope and creativity, a place where dreams were nurtured and talents blossomed. One sunny afternoon, as Elena stood in the garden, she noticed a group of children playing and laughing, their voices blending into a joyful chorus. She smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment and peace. She had found her true calling, and with Adrian by her side, she had built a life that was more beautiful than she had ever imagined. Adrian joined her in the garden, wrapping his arms around her. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, his voice soft. Elena leaned into him, her heart full. "I'm thinking about how far we've come, and how much we've achieved together. Our love has created something truly special, Adrian." He kissed her forehead, his eyes reflecting the same sense of wonder and gratitude. "We've been through so much, and yet here we are, stronger than ever. I couldn't have done any of this without you." Their love had not only survived the challenges and obstacles they had faced but had also grown stronger with each passing day. They had learned to navigate life's ups and downs together, finding strength in their shared dreams and unwavering commitment to each other. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace, enjoying a quiet moment together, Adrian turned to Elena with a thoughtful expression. "I've been thinking, what if we take our music school a step further? We could start a foundation, offering scholarships and support to young musicians all over the world." Elena's eyes lit up with excitement. "That's a wonderful idea, Adrian. We could help so many talented individuals who lack the resources and opportunities we've had." With renewed purpose, they began to lay the groundwork for the foundation. They reached out to friends, colleagues, and supporters, raising funds and gathering resources. The foundation quickly gained momentum, attracting attention from prominent figures in the music world. The years that followed were filled with travel, as Adrian and Elena worked tirelessly to expand their foundation's reach. They visited schools, orphanages, and community centers, bringing the gift of music to children who had never before had the chance to hold an instrument or learn to read music. They organized concerts and workshops, inspiring young musicians and providing them with the tools they needed to pursue their dreams. Their efforts did not go unnoticed. They received numerous awards and accolades for their work, but what mattered most to them was the impact they were making in the lives of others. They saw the spark of joy and hope in the eyes of the children they taught, and it reminded them of why they had started this journey in the first place. Despite their busy schedules, Adrian and Elena always made time for each other. They continued to find joy in the simple moments, walking through the lavender fields, playing music under the stars, and sharing quiet evenings by the fireplace. Their love remained the anchor that grounded them, a source of strength and inspiration. One day, as they stood on the stage of a grand concert hall, preparing for a performance that would benefit their foundation, Adrian took Elena's hand. "Look at what we've accomplished together," he said, his voice filled with pride. "We've created a legacy of love and music that will continue long after we're gone." Elena smiled, her heart swelling with emotion. "And we did it all because we believed in each other and in our dreams. Our love has truly created a harmonious future." As the lights dimmed and the audience quieted, they began to play, their music a beautiful reflection of their journey. The notes soared through the hall, a symphony of love, hope, and perseverance. The audience was captivated, moved by the story of two people who had overcome all odds to create something extraordinary. In that moment, as they played together, Adrian and Elena knew that they had achieved something remarkable. Their love had transcended time and space, touching the lives of countless individuals and leaving a lasting impact on the world. As the final notes of their performance echoed through the hall, they received a standing ovation. The applause was not just for their music, but for the love and dedication that had driven them to create a harmonious future for themselves and for others. With their hearts full and their spirits soaring, Adrian and Elena took a bow, knowing that their journey was far from over. They had many more dreams to pursue, many more lives to touch, and many more melodies to play. Together, they would continue to create a symphony of hope and love, a beautiful testament to the power of dreams and the strength of the human spirit. And as they walked off the stage, hand in hand, they knew that their harmonious future was only just beginning.